What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cypher TCG, and I'm back. Thank you guys for coming to this video. Now, I do want to say my voice lately has been a little this. Maybe some people find it a little more sexy, you know, a little more deeper instead of that high pitched. Everyone's fucking bad. So, see, my voice even my voice is almost gone. I've had a long week of work and had a very fun tournament at the Battle Heart in Cincinnati, which concluded yesterday. Shout out to my boy Nathaniel Snyder, a friend of the channel, for getting second, and shout out to Ray Adams for getting the victory on Icelander. Spoiler alert! Oh wait, I'm supposed to say that before wait. I messed up. But either way, guys, I went to the Battle Heart in Cincinnati yesterday. Yesterday being the 15th, today is the 16th. When I got home, I immediately passed out and woke up, and here we are. Got home later than I thought for a tournament that started at 9 a.m. But as you guys see in the background, I ended up taking Lexi. I took my Death Arrow Lexi list. But for those who know, who've watched the channel recently, this would be a big surprise to you, and honestly, it was a big surprise to me as well. Most of my prep, I'd say about the week before Dusk Till Dawn, was me playing Katsu. I even recorded a video for my next video, for the video series Become the Best, and it was for Katsu. Wow, this is going to be a horrible video. My voice is just terrible. Actually, take like 2 seconds more real quick. Let me cook. Hold on, let's see if this works. Wow, that tastes horrible. I've never had this before, but it tastes so horrible. Wow. Okay, well, RIP, I guess. But I've been playing a lot of Katsu recently, but I was doing very well. Then all of a sudden I went on a massive loss streak on Talshar and in real life, to the point where I was just not confident in taking the deck anymore. The issue being there was such little time before the event, I didn't have time to really switch decks. But I went to the tank. I was like, okay, what are decks I'm comfortable with? Obviously, Control Dash, still my baby. I know how to play that. Obviously, Bolton is getting a lot of cards in Dusk Till Dawn. I can play combo Bolton, pinning all the cards. Like, at the time of me having this decision, we didn't know all the cards. I think we only knew the Bannerets, and I think that's it. We knew, yeah, we didn't know that much. Obviously, Prism, depending on her card pool. Obviously, unfortunately, like that. The Prism text is kind of real. Obviously, we had the Control Bolton list as well. As well, I wasn't going to play combo Bolton. Maybe even aggro Bolton, just depending if I just opened up every last thing I needed. Obviously, Kano, still on the rise. This deck, honestly, was not even any of the deck. It was not even something I was thinking of whatsoever. But slowly as the week went by, I got less and less confident in Katsu, and more in just like, okay, I'm gonna buy some product. I'm gonna try to buy some Dusk Till Dawn, see if I can make this Control Warrior deck. I'm gonna see if I can build it, or even aggro, like I said, if I just get enough of the cards. It's gonna be alright. We'll just see. We're just gonna see what happens. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough of the cards for obviously aggro. When it came to the Control Axe list, I was missing at the time. I was missing Brave Forge Bracers, Warmonger's Diplomacy, Spellblood if I wanted to switch it to Dorian. I would actually have to change a lot of the card pool, but still. And I was missing Glent the Quicksilver. Obviously, money-wise, not much. It was just actual card availability wasn't too high. Obviously, for the aggro list, I never even got to sit down and look at all the cards I got for that list. So I could either be close, it could be way off. I personally don't know. So then we were like, okay. I played exactly one game of the control list. I had a dummy in there for the cards I was missing, and I only got to face a Dromai, which I knew wouldn't be a good matchup, and it wasn't. It was a horrible experience, and unfortunately, I keep saying unfortunate because things are just unfortunate. I didn't have a lot of time left. because I still, in my opinion, thought there would be a lot of Dromai, which there ended up being. I didn't know exactly how much of all other decks would be played. Like I said, you know there's going to be Lexi, you know there's going to be Dromai. And the rest of the decks are kind of like up in the air of how much of that deck would be there. So, the Friday before Saturday, I was still testing Bolton. I was like, maybe I'll pick one up, but then I was just like, no. But I was just like, I just don't have enough time. I was like, maybe I just play Control Dash. I know Control Dash in and out. I was like, maybe F it. I'll just play Katsu, whatever. It's bad, but whatever. But like, every time I just kept testing something on Talshar, nothing felt good. I don't know if it was just the matchups I was going against, or it was just something in my head. But then I sat down and was just like, Someone made a comment to me at the Armory on Thursday. Was like, what about your Lexi deck? And I was just like, oh, maybe, perhaps. I was technically missing a channel deck and three of cons for it. A friend let me borrow them. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll consider it. And I honestly did consider it. I played one game on Talshar, and it went the exact way it usually goes, where I get someone down to like 2 or 3 and can't finish them off, just because I either break a few turns or the game just hates me. We get to literally the night before, and I'm just sitting here just scratching my goals like, I have to register something. So I was just like, you know what? I think there'll be Lexi, I think there'll be Dromai, and I think there'll be ninjas to farm the Dromais and the prisms if they show up. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to target Lexi, I'm going to target Ninja, and I'm going to try to beat those decks. So I went to obviously the Death or Lexi list that I've played before, and obviously other people have seen me play, and I've played in past metas. I did make a few changes. I took out Read the God Plasmas because I didn't own them. I swore I owned them, but you know, stuff happens. And then I took out. I think there's a thing that says history here. Probably not. No. Okay. I took out like one other playset of something. I don't remember exactly what it was. Oh, I took out Heart of Ice, and I took out Skull and Cross Wrap because I just didn't have them, and I didn't think there'd be that much Wizard. And I got more actual main deck slots. Obviously, the one issue with this deck is I haven't actually changed the philosophy of this deck. I'll obviously get into the deck tech later. But before we ran every single card into every single matchup except exactly Remembrance would be technically sideboard. But we ran this because there was obviously a lot of Odom. You're a deck that can draw 1 to like 4 to 5 cards a turn, so you can turn to the deck. I never really explored if you were able to actually cut cards now. But like just looking at the deck, like I don't know if you actually can. Like obviously you're going to want to keep all the arrows, you're going to keep all the ice cards. Like every card in this deck is actually really important and very good. And with how many cards you're drawing is like, I don't know. Like maybe there's a war we can cut, but like let's say you cut like the laces and stuff, and you free up 9 slots and you go to 72. Like let's just say you cut the laces, you cut Plague Hive, then you cut, I don't know, Seek and Destroy. I'll just say Seek and Destroy. Okay, now you're running a clean 60, but like now it's like you're missing 12 buffs. You're missing 12 3 buffs. That's 36 damage that just you removed from your deck. In favor of what? Now, this idea could be okay. Like this stuff could be just fine. I haven't tested it. That is partially my fault for not testing it. But the change I made, I was like, okay, I think I can target the meta I think is going to show up. So I actually was like, maybe this was a blessing in disguise. But I told a friend I was taking Lexi, and they're like, why don't you just play Kano? Aren't you like really going Kano? I actually repicked up the deck because in the video diary for Katsu, I said I put down Kano because it was a 6-month journey thing. I'm not going to play it. I ended up playing him Armory that Thursday, went undefeated. No game went past turn 4 just because I'm the fucking GOAT. Yes, sir, baby. And after the battle, I was like, maybe I just get cold feet on the Lexi deck and I just play Kano because I know how to play Kano, and most people don't know how to play against Kano. I didn't know how much Arcane Barrier people would be bringing. Like, obviously, Runeblade's going to be back, so people might have at least AB2, but would they really have AB3? Would they have Oasis? I don't know. So, with that expected meta, I took the Lexi deck. And even right before the tournament, I got coached. I was like, I was starting to separate my Kano deck. I was like, maybe I just register this. Maybe I just do it. F it. But no, I was like, you know what? The intrusive thoughts aren't going to take over. And I end up playing this list in a 7-round tournament. So, report, I guess. I'll try to remember the best I can. Round 1, you gotta see my eyes closed just because I'm just trying to envision everything. Round 1, I sit across from the boy Sam Dando. It's funny because the last time I played this deck, it was literally against him like 6 or 7 months ago, maybe even longer than that. It was when my deck got drunk. But I beat him then when it was on Viscera. Unfortunately, this time, in a very narrow game, he got me on Azuri, which I don't think it's a very good matchup for me, obviously, because it's nothing but disruption, and telling me to go myself. Because the one issue with this deck is you're never going to block unless it's lethal, or unless you just have such an atrocious hand you can't do anything. Like, you don't have your mask, and you have like an all non-arrow hand, and you have no way to draw. Like, then yeah, sure, block. But that's it. That's literally it. Lethal, or you literally can't do anything on your turn. Those are the 2 times. And Azuri literally disrupts a lot of that, so I lost to Azuri, but it was again very close. Round 2, I'm facing. What do I face round 2? Round 2, I face Kano. That's what it is. I face Kano round 2. Obviously, good guy. Real chill guy. I'm dominating most of the match. He has 2, he pots out, and as a Kano player, I know how dangerous it is. Slow to 20 damage. Right there. And I present lethal. I have Shock Charmers, I have 1 mana floating, card in hand, it's a blue. Not that it really matters when you only have AB1. He sends full combo. Bricks a little bit, but, you know, gets some extra draw power. But unfortunately, he just seen too many reds over that turn. And got me to exactly 1. If any of those reds would have been yellow, I am dead. So my tournament life was spared there in round 2. So I'm currently 1-1. Round 3, I face the person I rolled up with, because I don't think you're allowed to play a turn without playing someone you rolled up with. He's on Riptide. He's on this like jank Riptide deck that isn't Riptide. It feels like kind of Tree Frog-esque, where, well, with the way it attacks more like for like 5 to 7 damage. Occasionally pumps, but it's usually just 2 card 7 or something like that with an on hit. Or he gives like a big buff CNC or something, like for like 9 or 12 or something like that, right? And he sits down and says, I don't know how I can win. I'm like, I don't know how I win. I was like, I don't think there's a world where I win. And he says, whatever. And we play the match. He's dominating me early, like it's not even close. But my deck has a lot of comeback potential off of 1 big turn. And off of 2 turns in a row, I take the life lead from probably like, he's probably up by like 25 life, to the point where like I think I'm up like 1 or 2 life. Then he was able to recover, hits me, I hit him, he hits me, I hit him. Where it's like 1-4. And I was like, yep, just come out of trap. He didn't have a trap on 1 of his turns. And I didn't die on his turn, and I sent just a nice enough attack. I got him unfortunately to 2. I was just 1 buff off, or just dominating it off. It was unfortunate because I had to block. I was 2 cards instead of 1. Because I used my Perch Grapplers on a really unfortunate time. I should have used my Perch Grapplers on an on hit, but I used on some vanilla damage, just because the damage was big. Pause. And it came back to bite me because Perch Grapplers there would save me. I get to keep my Weave Ice. I play the Weave Ice, pitch, load, Blizzard Bolt, and like I had a ton of ice in my deck. But even if it didn't, it still was getting buffed. I get his whole hand. Besides maybe one card, he arsenals it, and then I get to shoot again. And then again, now technically, if he has another trap, but the issue is he has to have a trap that triggers. And the only ones that will do it against my deck is the Inertia Trap, which he already played all 3 of, and the Welcome Reverse Trap, which he had 1 left in his deck. So, could he have had it? I don't know. I don't know to this day if he had it. Well, we ended up losing that one, unfortunately. So we're 1-2. Tournament hopes are dwindling. Round 4, I faced. Round 4, I think I faced another Azuri. Honestly, it was kind of a dog walk. Pause. Pretty easy win. The deck actually did what the deck was supposed to do, and I won. Round 5, I might have accidentally skipped around mentally, but I don't know. The next round, from what I remember, I could play against a Dash, and wait, hold on. That was round 6. The Dash was round 6, so I think I skipped either my round 4 or round 5 mentally. Oh, who did I face? Because it was a Lexi I faced. Oh, round 4. Yeah. So I was 1-2 at the time. I faced Travis McDaniel, the literal Undertaker himself. I need to make that tweet actually. I'm gonna live make that tweet. I'm making a video, and no one can literally stop me. Or what's let's see here. God, what's his Twitter? Oh, there we go. Live tweeting, let's go. There we go. Okay, so round 4 was Travis McDaniel. Obviously, like I said, literal remind me of Undertaker. Not that Undertaker's dead, it's just, you know what I mean. Long story short, back and forth game until I whiff a couple times, but I get spared by him having very bad hands. He was one to block more than most Lexis I faced against, which was interesting. Also because I wasn't dominating that much against him. But I think his willingness to block was incredibly smart. Because obviously, there's no reason to take like 12 with disruption if you can just block. It's just smarter. Plus, he's like a Codex deck. He did have a couple well-timed Codexes, a couple of well-timed 3 of a kinds, where I would strip like 3 cards from his hand. He would like 2 3 of a kind, shoot 2 arrows, and it's just like, wow, well, my life sucks, I guess. Because I'm a deck that can't really block, his deck that can block. It's just, it was all bad, and the end of the game was just like, we were both at like 2 or 1, and it was just like, he couldn't get over the hurdle, I couldn't get over the hurdle, no one could really do damage until he eventually just swung for like 13 on the last turn, and I just was barely not able to block. I was off by 1 to be able to block, and it was just unfortunate. But obviously losing to someone like Travis is it's all good. So then that's the Azuri match afterward. Then in round 6, I face a Dash, and At this point, mentally, I'm just like gone, and I started doing it. If people were at the event, you guys, and if you've seen someone just like memeing, going like, hold on, let me show you guys what I'm like at the event. If you guys seen someone do this, just let me know. All right. Try not to be scared of this. Just try not. Lace, activate death dealer, load bloating shot jaw, shoot bloating shot fuse, give it go, give it fucking plus 17. Activate shock tremors 4 times. Try not to be scared. It's only 17. It's only 17 with all these home effects. It's all good. It's all good. All right, and then like you're swinging at me, I'm like, dear God, you're swinging at me for 59. Well, I told you at the beginning of the game I was gonna block, so no blocks. Reactions, dang, I died. That sucks. Like it was massive energy, dude, and it was a great time. But I faced the dash. Unfortunately, the only reason I beat this dash is because they literally forgot to start the game with an item, and because it's May, it's not like they can just go get one. We didn't notice until the game started either, so it's like there's literally no way to back that up. Unfortunately, we unfortunately get there. Last round, we are 3-3 at this time. 4-3, we're out positive. 3-4. Life sucks. We end up facing another friend of the channel, Joshua Levi. It's actually the first time we've actually gotten to face each other. Feels like every time we're at an event, we're near each other, or something like that. But like this time, we get to sit across each other and duke it out. Now I sit down from him and I do what I do against a lot of people. I'm like, I'm not blocking, so you just let me know how much damage I'm taking. He's like, what? And like he's actually never played me, so he doesn't know like I'm straight serious when I say that. I didn't block him literally until he presented lethal. There's obviously a reason for that, and I'll talk about in the actual deck tech. But the game was an absolute blow. I think it might have been like 37 to like 9 at one point. He was fucking me up, and then I finally got those few turns in a row where I was just like, bam, 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 and now we're all of a sudden both in single digits, and the game is just nearly in my reach. And because I forgot this one thing, I lost. He's swinging lethal with Rosetta Thorn. I have exact lethal in my hand. I can give one card and not die, and still have guaranteed lethal because I have Weave Ice. I have Weave Ice in my arsenal. I have a blue card. I have a Blizzard Bolt, and I have another card. So all I got to do is play the Weave Ice. Keep the Ice card, pitch the Ice card, load the Blizzard Bolt, shoot, fuse. He's dead. But he sends lethal at me, and instead of popping my Shock Charmers when he reses me, I AB it. So I just tossed another card from my hand. Most because I just forgot, literally unless I play Cannon, I forget that Shock Charmer says Void 2, and Rosetta Thorn can be Shock Charmered. And I didn't need Shock Charmers the rest of that game, and he's at single digits, it's just not necessary. I unfortunately lost because of that, and obviously I played it off cool. I wasn't too mad about it. I was like a little bit like, come on Isaac, you know better than that. But it's on me. It's on me to make that play. It's not on my opponent to remind me. It's on my opponent to play worse. If I want to win, I got to make that play. So there's no one to blame but myself. There's no one to blame but myself, kind of my deck. But there's no one to blame but myself for this tournament. Obviously, there could have been different things in the deck building. There could have been spots where I blocked, because I had some mediocre offensive turns and I could have just blocked there. Obviously, my turn foresight was not good enough. Because I guarantee you, if some of those turns I just blocked and just sacrificed me sending like 6 dominate with nothing else, like we probably could have done something better, but it's in the past. All we can do is learn from it. So that was the thing. Obviously went 3-4, not the best result, but with most of my games being very, very, very winnable. I do know that I think I at least played well to win a lot of those games, so that part is pretty good. But let's get into the deck tech. Obviously, we're playing Lexi Livewire. We have Death Dealer. Death Dealer, the weapon. The reason why we're using Death Dealer is because our aim is to be using the most amount of cards possible to have the highest ceiling turns. And unfortunately, things like Voltaire just don't even really mix with our game plan. Now, if we were on like an OG Lexi list, like maybe we could do Voltaire. But for what this list is trying to do, Voltaire just does not do it. And obviously Shiver, people are like, oh, you're playing Shiver? And I'm like, no. So the issue with Shiver is you either get Dominate or +1. And while both of those are really cool, A lot of times, if I just like pitch a card, I have 3 cards left, I load an arrow, I have 2 cards left. Now, unless that card I pitch is a yellow or blue, now I have to pitch another card to shoot. So most likely my turns aren't going to be good because a lot of times you want 1 to 2 buffs a turn. You want an ice card and you want an arrow. And if you're getting taxed, if you're making a block, a lot of stuff gets harder. And sometimes you're just missing one of the pieces. And where Death Dealer is really great is it just allows you to draw. And that draw is super, super clutch. Findle Spring Tunic, obviously, we're a resource intensive deck, even in the actual mana base, so we are obviously running Tunic over anything else. There were matchups where I used to run Heart of Ice. I don't run Heart of Ice anymore. That's because I just don't value using my resources on my opponent's turn. I'd rather just make my own turns more powerful. So that's why I'm running Tunic. Running Mask of Melissa's Manifestations. People had to read this card a lot. And they were wondering why I'm just playing this over New Horizons, and I had to explain a lot. So the big thing with this deck is, again, you need a certain amount of cards each hand to do something cool. And a lot of times, the thing you're actually going to be missing is an arrow. And that's obviously the only way you can attack. Because we have a lot of non-attacks. There's 73 cards we put in every deck, 23 arrows. So that means there's 50 cards that are not arrows. And you're more likely to not draw arrows than draw multiple arrows. I mean, that's the opposite of what this event did to me, but logically, right? So we have a lot of brick potential, and it happened a lot. There's a lot of times I actually had to pop this turn 1, which is like never good. So what this does is you pay a red, you put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of your deck, destroy this, and you reveal on top of your deck until you get an action card, which will be an arrow. You put it in your hand, you shuffle, you go again. It has block, but you're not blocking with this unless something went horribly wrong. But this helps you go, okay, I have 4 buffs in my hand. Let's turn those into an arrow. So you like pitch a blue, polymorph into an arrow, put it in your hand, with floating mana, activate Death Dealer, draw. Really good. Really good. Especially when you've never done a piece. Like, you have 2 blue Weave Eyes. Like, you don't need 2 blue Weave Eyes. You just need the 1. And, like, hypothetically, you could save 1, but, like, I'd rather just pitch that. Obviously, save it for late game, dominate, and be able to turn that into an arrow. This is your 1 guaranteed brick prevention. We have another one in there, but it's way less, and I mean way less consistent. But this is I always get an arrow off of this. Obviously, no rune boots. We do want some amount of no rune against decks in case like we just have to AB something. I would feel really wrong bringing no AB. I would say, watching some of the other Lexis play, I do think maybe I could have just brought no rune. And or only no rune against Wizard. Possibly, that could have been a thing. But against Runeblade, I'd rather just literally bring Perch, have it the block potential and trace. Is what we did. Perch Grapplers is just a 2-block. The text on this card won't ever come up because we cannot load multiple times. The only way this would work is obviously we send a card that has go again because of either this or like a lightning, a volt, Pulse of Volt Haven, and then we quiver and then we exactly hit one of our 23 arrows. Obviously we already sent one, so we have 22 at max left, and we hit one and then we load it and we can shoot it. Like, that's a very, very uncommon thing. This is literally here for the text on the bottom right saying block 2. Quiver recently is probably the card that like failed me the most this weekend, unfortunately. It did not hit a single time, and it kind of sucks. Part of me wonders if I should have just made this the Remembrance arrow, but it's, I don't know. I really just don't know. But the other card really does a lot. Like, you're kind of hoping and praying most of the time that these hit. But especially a deck like mine, it's not likely to hit. But it is just, if we brick another time, we don't have mass. It's like our only other chance to not brick, and we can save our turn. But it's been very inconsistent. Shock Charmers, obviously, this is like one of the best cards in the deck. This allows you to amplify the own hit effects. a lot of your arrows, and it has spell void too. So real quick, I'll give you guys a quick rundown of how this kind of card works. So let's say we come with Blizzard Bolt. Blizzard Bolt says if it was fused, whenever attack deals damage to an hero this turn, create a frostbite under their control. Now let's read Shock Charmers. The next time an attack action card you control hits, let's say it's Blizzard Bolt. So let's say the next time Blizzard Bolt hits a hero this turn, it deals 1 damage to them. So Blizzard Bolt's initially going to hit. It's going to create an event that creates a frostbite, but let's say in the reaction step we pay into this twice. So we have 2 instances of Shock Charmers. Well, it says a hit, so it's going to deal 1 damage to them. Blizzard Bolt says, deal damage. It says it deals 1 damage to them. So Blizzard Bolt now will read, whenever attack deals damage, create a frostbite. Well, it dealt damage here. Shock Charmer says this now deals a damage. Well, it's an attack. It dealt damage. Separate from this, create a frostbite. Oh, and then it happened again. So yes, the Blizzard Bolt didn't hit multiple times, like the actual Blizzard Bolt, like physically. But Shock Charmer says the Blizzard Bolt deals damage, which is the text here. And it also happened 3 separate times, sorry. So this actually creates an event where you create 3 frostbites instead of 1, if that all makes sense. So that's why I think Shock Charmer are literally the MVP of the deck, especially because people will ask why a card like 3 Overcon's in the deck. This is mostly to pump into Shock Charmers. You're hoping to draw multiple blues with Shock Charmers and maybe a fuse cards if you're missing it, and just to be able to pop off with damage. Going into the main deck, obviously we are running 72 cards minimum into every single matchup. At least that is what we did. That might change soon. We don't 100% know yet, but a minimum 72, 73 against decks that can make us discard, obviously Wizard, Bravo, Azuri, anything that can put cards in our graveyard, without us telling it to, we do that. Or if they might try to fatigue us, it's just an additional card. So number 1, we have Blizzard Bolt. We have Ramble Blizzard Bolt. Blizzard Bolt says if it was fused with an ice card, whenever an attack does damage to target, create a frostbite. Now keep in mind, hypothetically, if you attack with multiple arrows, this lasts the entire chain. But obviously, this is just here for the one-time effect plus additional Shock Charmers. This is one of your better ones because you do need to recognize in each matchup if Chilling Ice Fang or Blizzard Bolt's better. Against I'll say it like this: Blizzard Bolt's never bad because frostbites are just frostbites, but there are times that Chilling Ice Fang's better. Right? Because Chilling Ice Fang is stripping cards out of hand on our turn. They can't use it on their turn. But for example, if you do that same deck like Control Dash, if you give Control Dash 3 blues, 3 frostbites, and we have a bunch of blues in hand, we just play our turn anyway, it doesn't matter. But if Chilling Ice Fang is hit, and we ship the card on our turn, so on their turn they just actually don't have that card, it could make their turn a little bit harder. Especially if we combine it with other effects like, giving them frostbite, or obviously if we Shock Charmer stuff like this and we can make them discard additional cards, because mind you, this also stacks. Let's say we Shock Charmer 3 times, now they have to discard a card unless they pay red 4 times, and something like that's really good. Flake Out. Flake Out, this is just strictly here to be dominated, and it's a nice fusion. It's kind of the next best thing we got. It's kind of tough. It's not that great. But we run a lot of cards that do care about fusing, so obviously we do need to run the good Ice Fusion cards, and the unfortunate thing is when you type in Ice Fusion, and then we click the old Ranger, we exactly don't run Cold Wave. Cold Wave is also extremely bad. But I will say this, maybe it gets to the point where we just need more arrows, and we just run the Cold Wave, even if we aren't really a fan of it. Probably just the reds, to be honest. That might be something I explore later on, but as you can see, there's no more arrows that we run all the arrows that can play it, except exactly Cold Wave and yellow and blue Flake Out. Obviously, Ice Storm is here, but that's definitely not an arrow. It's just it's a super nimblism. All right, but back to the deck. We're running Icequake. Icequake's a 1 mana ice action that says your next attack is +3. Whenever an attack hits a hero, create a frostbite. Now, importantly, this does not say deal damage, it does not hit. So this only will trigger once, no matter how many times you shock charges it. But yeah, this is basically a nimblism that creates a frostbite. It's pretty good. As now, Weather Vane, one of the better cards in the deck. This says whenever next time you ice fuse this turn, create 4 frostbites, and the blue one does too. This is a unconditional way to interact with your opponent by simply ice fusing. Your opponent could block to eternity against whatever card that was fused with this. But as long as you fuse, you create those 4 frostbites, and you make their turn significantly harder. We have a 3/3/3 line of Lace, so Blood Rot, Frailty, and Inertia. This is another additional way to actually have some form of disruption or interaction if you're not fusing. So like even if it's just Blizzard Bolt, Lace, Shoot, like that's still 8 damage when hit Blood Rot, which is not horrible. Like obviously it's not the greatest, but it's still something. Same thing with Frailty, same thing with Inertia. Plus Volt Haven, this is a +4. So both an ice and a lightning. So on very specific plays, you can get off 2 arrows. If your deck does like you, but mostly this is just here to be a +4. Seek and Destroy. Seek and Destroy says the next thing is +3. If it hits its turn, it's pretty much a super inertia. This is like the OG inertia. So how inertia reads, at the end of the turn, they put all the cards from their arsenal and their hand to the bottom of their deck. The Seek and Destroy says they put them in the graveyard. They discard them all. Which conditionally can be better, obviously against like a ranger, like maybe it might be worse, just because you might be feeding their future codexes. But this pretty much says you have to use all the cards, or you just lose them, like forever. So, pretty good card. Running Theory of a Kind, because it's a ranger deck, you're going to play Theory of a Kind. It's pretty good. It's finally time to check out the trash. Pretty much, I'm assuming Isaiah's talking about the deck. Like this deck is pretty trash. You know, I don't 100% know. This deck actually was pretty good for me this whole entire weekend. This is like the best weekend I've played Theory of a Kind. Like I've had some nutty pop-off turns with Theory of a Kind, and I can't believe there was a point where I didn't want to play this card in this deck because I just didn't think we benefited enough off 3 cards. But I'm so excited I played it. We have probably one of the better cards in the deck. This is a cycle. We have a rainbow. This is next elemental ice or oh god, I'm so tired, guys. I'm sorry. Next ice or elemental attack action card. You play this turn, gets +3 to fuse, gains dominate. So a lot of times, whenever you play this, it's either a nimblism or a super nimblism that gives dominate, and it's all for the low cost of 0 and your ability to fuse. But you always will get the +3. There's a lot of nimblisms in this deck, but it's obviously pretty good. Play God was a call that I made kind of last minute because I couldn't find a good enough reason to run a lot of other stuff. Over Play God like as a legit one of. But Play God accidentally was like really good for me again this weekend. With initial testing when Play God first came out and I tried this deck, it wasn't too impressive. But I think the amount of times I rode Inertia or Frailty and it just like actually changed my opponent's turn was actually so huge. And it's for the low cost of just pitching it. Like there was a time where to try to kill someone, I stripped their hand, then I pitched Play God to Shock Charmers, and if I gave them a Blood Rot, they would have died. That play is extremely cool. It doesn't come up often because, you know, your chance to get a Blood Rot, it's whatever, but card's good. Card's very good. Power Blast. This is a card that if I would probably remake this deck, I might add the reds. I legit might add the reds. It's like, I need more Dominate, at least, I think. I don't know what I would take out. Like I would have to take out 3 cards. But yeah, Power Blast was really good, especially when it came from Arsenal. I think this is the first week I also played it from hand. I don't think before I ever played it from hand. But what this does is if you play Power Blast, your opponent has to say either I take a card from your hand so you can actually block my attack, or you don't take a card from hand and now you cannot block this attack. So it's like it's pretty much imposing your will no matter what happens here. You either strip a card or you make it impossible for them to block well. Both are good. And if you play from Arsenal, you get to draw a card. So that goes into the thing where we can draw multiple cards a turn. We can start turning through the deck, getting those really big turns. One of Remembrance. This is just to cycle back some arrows if for some reason you need to cycle back some arrows. Or even buffs if for some reason you got a lot of arrows early and you pitch them and you just need a way to close out the game, and you need some more pumps. There you go. You can even side back things like 3 of a kind. Like it's the roll's your oyster with this card. 3 Channel Link Frigid. I actually also think I played it more than anything else I did this weekend. Usually this was just a blue block 3 that happened to be ice. But I actually played it a lot this weekend, and it put in work, as Channel Link always does. Frostlock. Frostlock was also a really big card this weekend. Obviously, saying like, hey, all these decks that rely on 0 cost cards to pitch or play, yeah, you can't pitch those or even play those if this hits. So you probably want to block this, especially when I dominate this. Is just literally ends people's turns. I know against Travis in round 4, Ioli came with a dominated Frostlock for 7. He just looked at him and says, "Oh, I can't play the game." So I blocked for 3. Out to him, he said, "Your turn again." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Yeah, he had all 0 costs, and it was like he physically couldn't play them. It was amazing. The stack ability on this is also pretty good, where it's a Channel Link Frigid on stick, and the one thing that people don't understand is like you can respond to this becoming an attack, but once an attack on the layer, they can't. So if they want to like tunic and do something or whatever they want to do, they have a small window to do that. But once this is on the stack, like it is just here, and you can't get rid of it. And now you're just taxed. So good job. Nice 1 mana sync blow you just got there. It'd be a shame if it was significantly worse. Insidious Chill. Insidious Chill was a card that I tried to actually establish on the board a lot. Unfortunately, I was unable to. I think there was like one game where I was able to play it turn 1. And it like was insane, but didn't come up as often as I wanted to. Unfortunately, it's a 2 block, so it's not the greatest card. Being a blue ice card is just strictly good enough to make it in the cut of this deck. I did knock it down to 2 because this is not a card I want to see all the time. If I open it, cool. If I don't open it, it's like fine. But I don't want to see this card all the time. A card that I definitely should have made it at 3. I don't know why I didn't make it 3. Was Winter's Bite. Winter's Bite's an insane card. It's a blue ice card, which is already amazing. And it just says, hey, if I flip this from my arsenal, I'm getting 3 cards of value out of you. Because I'm going to strip a card out of you, and I'm going to tax you on your next thing. So your turn is significantly harder just for me. I could only just flip it and play it, and your turn's so much worse, and it's not even funny. This card's so great. I might even add like yellow. Like maybe that is also consideration. I just try to like, instead of every single turn being like 74 damage with an arrow, maybe I just add a little more disruption with things like Winter's Bite. But that was the deck. I think overall, early in the tournament, the deck didn't really cooperate well, but like later in the tournament, it didn't have to do with what my opponent was doing. Just my actual draws were just better. I don't know like what happened, but I'm overall, even though I went through 4, I'm satisfied with the deck. The deck does obviously have a lot of problems, and I'll talk about those problems probably in a video. The issue with this deck is you're trading power for consistency. Or consistency for power, rather. So, a lot of people used to ask me why I play this over Azalea, and what I always said is your ceiling is much higher. But that comes with the floor being also much lower. It's not like as the higher your sun goes, the higher your floor goes. Like, no. Not in this kind of deck. Like, I have turns where it's like 14 dominate, discard a card and spray 1, and credit Frostbite. Also, here is a Blood Rot Pox token and an Inertia token. Also, I have this man to pitch a Shock Charmer, so if it hits you, which it exactly will, I want to pitch into it like twice or maybe 3 times and just say you don't have a turn. Azalea can do that like sometimes, but like almost every single hand can do that with Lexi. The issue is you need a lot of cards to do that. Like Azalea is just fine with going like pump, activate Azalea, dominate, boom, send something. Like Azalea can actually block and still have some of a turn. Like you can't really have as big of a turn as you need with this deck. I will start to experiment with intentionally blocking sometimes and just seeing like, okay, if I want a 2 to 3 card hand because I have a thing like Death Dealer, like how does that look? How does that look? Just taking 1 card away from my hand like every other turn. And if I can either make some deck building changes or some philosophy changes and we can do something like that, maybe this deck is a little bit better than I initially thought. But obviously I do think Azalea is just, the consistency of Azalea compared to this deck is just a little bit higher, to the point where I just, it's going to be tough to take this to another tournament without some significant changes. But overall, I did have fun this weekend. This deck is fun to play, especially when it's just going. It's unstoppable train. So, thank
thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys want to see next. If you guys want to see more event coverage like this, make sure you guys let me know. It's been your boy Cypher from Cypher TCG. My throat kind of hurts. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.